Let's go through some of the words here, and freedom is a great place to start, because when you and I were coming up in journalism, conservatives owned the word freedom. And if you watch the Democratic National Committee presidential convention, whenever it was, 2 weeks ago, last week, whenever it was, holy cow, that word freedom was all over that convention, and that was a Democratic convention. How did that happen?
It's so surprising for me, because my first word in the book is freedom. And when I was writing it over 2 years, that I thought, they're very dark years when I thought we had lost this language, when the word freedom had come to mean the freedom from obligation to others, the freedom to do whatever you want, the freedom to have no government in your lives. And then suddenly, not only did the Democrats and Kamala Harris walk on stage day one and start talking freedom, and Beyonce singing freedom and owning that word and saying the freedom from want, the freedom from losing your health care if you change your job, which happens in the United States, the freedom to love who you want to love, to marry who you want to be with, the freedom to live in a healthy world, the freedom from need, which was the old FDR line, the freedom from need, because you can't be free if you feel that you can't even got a roof over your head, or you can't feed your children. So this whole concept of freedom, which was originally a left idea, is taken back by the Democrats. And then you see the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, it's a specific group, who are talking about, we're going to take these books out of libraries, we're going to take away we're going to get rid of the woke agenda, we're going to fire people from universities.
We're going to tell which women can't have abortions.
We're going to tell what you can do with your body. We're going to tell you that you can't, when you can have children. We're going to tell you J.D. Vance, we're going to tell you how young you should be to have children. So suddenly you have the script completely flipped, and you have these MAGA Republicans who are anti-freedom, and you have the Democrats talking about not just to be free, but to have a different kind of freedom. And also owning the MAGA freedom when Tim Walz said, it's none of your damn business. I'll live my life the way I want to live it.
It's funny how he said that at that convention in 2024. Pierre Trudeau said it in 1968, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Pierre Trudeau said that the state does not belong.
Has no business in the bedrooms of the nation.
But it had no problems being in the wombs of the nation, as I write in this book.
He did have an abortion law at that time, didn't he?
And he upheld it, a 100-year-old abortion law that denied women a legal right to get an abortion.
Although, I hasten to add, the Justice Minister of the day, John Turner, did allow for circumstances under which abortion was legal.
Well, yes, except it was, very narrow circumstances. It already existed. And John Turner, also being a Roman Catholic, because it was a very strong Roman Catholic view, and Otto Lang was also another minister, and then all the ministers in Quebec who were against it too. And it took Henry Morgentaler, as I write about in this book, and took him 18 years.
And he went to jail.
And he was in prison in Bordeaux, and to get women the right to have reproductive freedom. And we got it for the right reasons, because in Canada, the justices, the Supreme Court justices in Canada said that a woman has the right to choose how her body is being used. In the United States, they didn't get that right, and that's why they lost it, I think, with the Roe v. Wade.
I was going to get to this later, but since we're here right now, and I'm trying to remember now, the story of the conversation you had with a granddaughter about when she would have children?
Yeah.
Tell us about that story, because that was, I can see you right now just getting
getting
tingly about it.
Yeah, well, what happened is that it was just weeks after Roe v. Wade had been struck down in the United States. And even though it wasn't our country, I think all women felt this, had the sharp intake of breath. Like, when does it happen here? And of course, The Handmaid's Tale was kind of this echo through the times that we now live in, with Margaret Atwood's story of women completely losing their freedoms. And so it was on my mind, and I was playing in the playground with my granddaughters, and my one granddaughter, who at that time, she was 10, and she said, "Grandma, is it true that there's medicine you can take to not have a baby?" Where she heard this, I don't know.
At 10, she knew this.
At 10, she'd heard this, and I said, yeah, there is. There is medicine that you can take to not have a baby. I didn't tell her all the details, she was too young. And she just thought about that for a second. She says, I'm going to have 2 children. And for me, and then my other granddaughter listened, she says, I'm going to adopt. And it struck me, I was so emotional about that, because I had grown up, I came of age in the 60s and 70s still at a time when we didn't have choices. Choices didn't exist. And so they started to emerge. We started to see women having these rights and freedoms that we now take for granted. But I was seeing the possibility that that could devolve. And so these little girls thought they would have the choice of when and even if to have children. This is so fundamental to a woman's rights. And so they just presumed that that would happen in their lifetime. And I had this moment of sort of panic when I thought, what if they don't? What if they lose everything we have fought for these decades?
At some point, you'll take them aside and tell them who Gloria Steinem was, etc.
I will. They'll also find out a lot of other things I didn't want to tell them at that point.